So it is Sunday, September 22nd, 7 o'clock. We've been up for a while. We're heading down towards the much smaller by this point Danube, and we're heading towards Lake Constance, where we have a friend that David met on his biking tours, and that will be our day 6. I suspect we're going to have a magnificent day with the weather and the good vibe we were given here.
From here onward, a lot of the places we visited were on my personal I gotta see that someday list. Where we are heading now was on that list. Lake Constance, Switzerland, via today's destination, Singen, Germany. When I mentioned David's bike tours, I should have referenced the fact that he is a tour guide for our fair city back home. This summer, on one of his tours, he happened to mention to one of his clients, Jürgen from Singen, Germany, that we were planning a trip from Vienna to London. Jürgen took the opportunity to invite us to his place for a visit. That's when our tour started getting interesting. Singen is very, very close to the Swiss border, so we decided that a well-deserved day off might be had after day 6.
Oh yeah, Swiss here. Come across that guy with the electric.
Today's 95K had us on many types of cycleways, from gravel to full pavement, and everything in between. And most of it following along the mini version of the Danube we'd seen so far.
When you go out on stage.
During the trip today, we had more downhill than up. The weather, the temperature, the paths couldn't really get any better.
Oh, the highway, the train, and the bike path. Boom, boom, boom.
One of our best riding days, without a doubt. It's Sunday, so people are out at the country fairs and petting zoos.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's cross the bridge on the bike path.
Why not?
We rolled into Jürgen and Claudia's beautiful home in the late afternoon. We had a superb, welcoming meal and settled in for a few days. A few days of touring and being more traditional tourists.
Tired a little bit? Yeah, we
Our daughter lives in
Jürgen took us to visit Hohenweiler, a volcanic stub of sorts where there are the ruins of a massive old fortress destroyed by Napoleon's troops. Jürgen and Claudia were most accommodating. They kept us informed, they kept us well fed, housed, and most importantly on the right path for our journey. As cyclists themselves, they knew exactly where we should go. Tomorrow, off come the panniers.
We are going to Lake Constance, and Lake Constance is, it's probably going to be a 50K. And we get to come back to another engaging night with these fabulous folks here in Baden-Württemberg, a district, on our way to Switzerland tomorrow. And boy, look at this beautiful garden. They have everything here. Plums, kiwis, pears, apples, avocado. That's a clematis flower. Never seen anything like it. Went down to Stein am Rhein. So it's a little touristy town which is spectacular for one thing in particular. Art by artist of the 1400s and 1500s, which is completely restored and looks unbelievable. So buildings from the 14, 15, and 1600s in the context of late season tourists and still expensive. Lunch menu, we spent $70 on 2 sandwiches, but it is Switzerland and it was beautiful. And now we're back in Singen and it's raining, which means we're singing in the rain.
What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
It's Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. in Singen, Germany. It's day 7 of our tour. We left Singen, headed for Basel, Switzerland. Probably not a well-known city, but it has a deep, rich history, and its location is very particular. It's in Switzerland, but it has important suburbs in Germany and France. So many people work in Switzerland but live in France or Germany, mostly because the value of the Swiss franc and the cost of living in Switzerland. It is considered the cultural capital of Switzerland. It's also an important center for the chemical and pharmaceutical industry. No lack of money here.
Downtown Singen. We beat the rush.
Again today, we started with a train ride of less than 30 minutes, which moved us closer to our destination for the day, and it actually gave us the time to arrive in time to see a bit of the city.
We are in Waldshut, heading to Basel for the evening along the Rhine now. And as often happens, trying to find our way out of the station. But we think we got that figured out.
Our hosts today are relatives of David's on his wife's side of the family. Christian and Françoise are longtime residents of Basel, and lucky for us, were keen to have us join them for an evening.
Hey Maggie. So we are 8 days in, and 8 days into the ride. And I'm starting to feel comfortable and a bit of a rhythm developing. Today looks like another great day, not hot, not cold. Probably, it's about 11 right now, but on its way up to 18, 19.
Yeah, well, it's tourist town, eh?
Our riding day had us crossing back and forth over the Rhine between Germany and Switzerland. Lunch, we were told, should be had in Germany because of the difference in cost. We crossed the largest roofed wooden bridge in Europe. Built in 1200, it's 660 feet long. It's been rebuilt several times, and this bridge currently was erected in 1700. And most amazingly, it was used for car traffic till 1979. So we had a quick lunch and right back to Switzerland, heading for Basel.
So we are in Basel, and Basel is on the Swiss side of the Rhine. We spent most day riding on the Rhine, just a 60K. Really no obstacles. The weather was perfect, a little bit of wind. All is good with uns. Everything's good with us?
Hello.
Mike.
Hi, Mike. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Christian is also a longtime cyclist and was truly interested in where we'd been, what we'd seen, what we were riding, and how we felt. We parked our bikes with his in the underground garage.
Perfect.
And no sooner had we showered and changed that Christian began the task of preparing the meal, and Françoise had us out checking the city. She insisted on a pre-dinner tour, and you might not believe how much we covered in 90 minutes flat. Françoise knows her city and is proud to show it off. Part of our tour had us crossing the Rhine on the Munster Ferry. Now, these ferries cross the very fast-moving Rhine using the current and a rudder with no motor at all. Get a great view of the city and the Munster Cathedral. I asked Françoise about her connection to David, and Françoise began explaining it, but she gave up halfway through, so Auntie or ma tante would have to suffice. Again, we just skimmed the surface of this beautiful city. We made it home in time for a welcoming feast and a pretty quick lights out in the spare bedroom. Basel, a city worthy of more tourist time and energy. Today is a special day, as Françoise waves the three of us off. Christian knew a particularly scenic way out of Basel, following the Rhine, and he insisted on taking us there. On the map, it's one big arc to Mulhouse, our destination for the day. On the ground, it was everything one might hope for in a bike tour, with history surrounding us. The Alsace region of France has a very particular story. Over the centuries, it's been back and forth between France and Germany. The names of the towns have much of that history baked in. It was about 25 kilometers to the border for our guide today. Christian gives us a warm hug and sends us off. And there we go. No wonder the world thinks Canada is covered in snow 24/7. We continued rolling down Eurovelo 5. Normally, this is a very popular route with the tourists, but closing in on October, there are fewer people to contend with, except for those who actually work here. Alsace has a rich, highly intensive agricultural character, with many small farms. Besides wine, this area is cultivated with sugar beets, hops, tobacco, and corn. It's also famous for its asparagus and foie gras. A large number of locals commute to factories in Germany and Switzerland. But wine and grapes are still a big part of its modern heritage. Our next stop is a bittersweet one for David. His wife, Marie-Odil's mom, passed away not long ago. The ancestral home was thus put up for sale, and we are visiting Altkirch so David can say goodbye to an important part of his family's life.
This is a one of a kind. Neat. Wow. And the flues? Oh, look at that.
10 minutes, un quart d'heure, le restaurant. Oh. Un quart d'heure? Ouais, le temps de descendre. Ouais.
Tonight, we'll be staying with David's sister-in-law, Claire, and her husband, Jean-Luc. They live not too far from here, so Claire bikes us back to their place near Mulhouse.
Today we couldn't leave because of the weather. The weather is severe, thunderstorms and on and on and on. So we're making the best of it. We're planning our next days, trying to look ahead in terms of using warm showers and whatnot. We also went to Decathlon, and I got myself with these little cappy-doos for keeping the sun out of my eyes. I forgot mine at home. And I got a pair of these because not every day I'll be lucky enough to stay an extra day at somebody's house if it starts to rain. But apparently it's going to clear up for us tomorrow, so we're back on track. We'll see where that takes us, but I have a pretty good idea there might be some wine involved.
To start our ride, Claire drove us a few kilometers out of town.
So today is day 9 of our ride. We're starting in the rain, and we're ready for just about anything.
Anything? Well, that means rain gear on, rain gear off for most of the morning.
Wine country. La route des vins.
It's been a solid day and a half of precipitation, but the weather front is gradually moving out. The grape pickers, though, are here again, rain or shine.
Harvest time in wine country.
Our route today has us heading north in Alsace towards Luxembourg. We took advantage of our rain day break yesterday to find our next Warm Showers hosts. Now, this couple was close to the Eurovelo trail we were following. David was familiar with what this part of France has to offer since his wife's family is from here, so he was a bit of a tour guide today. As I mentioned previously, history surrounds us. We took the time to roll into Turkheim, which dates from the 1300s. We shared the day with the Sunday market crowd, but no sharing the well-earned croissants, thank you very much. A nice little 30-minute break, and back on the trail. In this part of the world, at this time of year in particular, it's all about the wine, and it's all about harvesting grapes. This was a wet year for the region, and thus not necessarily a bumper crop. All along our day today, however, La Route des Vins was very busy with the harvest. These trails that we're riding are purpose-built for sharing between cyclists, pedestrians, and every manner of farm, orchard, and vineyard vehicle.
I see. Reading between the lines, get out of the way if a tractor comes along.
Working people here.
That's right. Enjoy it, but be on the TV.
We stopped for lunch at a busy local spot in Obernal. And then right back on the road. One of those special moments today was our chance to visit a full winery in the town of Dambach-la-Ville called Domaine d'Iranger. Their cellars date back to 1784, and it's been a family business since then. There's a pride of purpose to how they run things here. When you are certified organic, nothing is left to chance. What's the connection, you ask? Well, David's daughter, Gaia, picked grapes for them 5 years ago and obviously left a fine impression, as did our tastings today.
The disappearing worker.
Et voilà, on est dans le tonneau.
Wow.
Merci.
Viens, je te fais en photo. C'est à base de pignon blanc, classique, on laisse un peu la place sur la table.
And as an aside, I would not recommend wine tasting and cycling generally, and let's just leave it there.
So Canada.
Non.
Eventually, Kamut led us to the garage door of our next hosts in Cosweiler, France. Nicholas and Martin seemed as happy to see us as we were to see them. They are serious cyclists who are keen to swap stories and offer local advice. But first, the business of a warm shower and a glass of wine. And ooh la la, what a fine meal. What a great way to make friends. These folks have their priorities intact. They built a brand new house in the country with the full intention of housing their dozen or so bikes inside and leaving the car outside the garage. We got some attention in the bike service bay too before we left.
Ça me donne envie de partir avec vous. De faire le reste. Non, c'est un peu loin.
Nicolas and Martine are incredibly enthusiastic cycling hosts. So much so that Nicolas felt like coming along with us. From the moment we started this day, we knew up was where we were heading.
But we've already done 14K and we haven't done anything but up since we started.
One of the nice touches in this part of France, though, was that the elevation percentage is indicated on every road sign. No arguing that way, right?
So these are the Vosges mountains.
Here on the other side, you're looking at Lorraine.
And compared to the Ghats, are they like same size or higher?
No, they're higher. They're about like the taller parts of the Lorraine.
Okay.
So today was one of our last elevation challenges, the Vosges Mountains. About 1,000 meters over our 80K day today. David compares them to the Laurentians from back home in Canada. A very reasonable grind for the first part of our ride.
Very wet. Did it rain all night or something?
Yeah, well.
By the time we reached the satellite tower at 680 meters, of course, it started raining. And again, time for the rain gear as we come down the other side. After an extended downhill, we almost rolled right past Far Buchfeld. The aromas, though, had us following our noses into a well-timed lunch.
We spent the first 14 kilometers of our day climbing, slow but steady, and then the last 7 descending. And in the meantime, we've dropped about 4 degrees and we got showers. It looks like we've got ourselves some nice blue sky now. All things considered, it's another beautiful day.
In Lorraine, France, we rejoined the bikeways following along the longest canal in France, dating back to the mid-1800s. The bike paths follow the ancient canal that is no longer in use. But the modern canal just beside it has a feature that sees hundreds of thousands of tourists annually. The Plan Incliné de Saint-Louis-Artzville is something to behold. The new one dates from the 1970s, and what it does is ride up the Vosges Mountains to connect the canal system. Nowadays, that pleasure boat journey takes about 4 minutes. When it was built in the mid-1800s, this same journey took an entire day. I think we have better horses now. We could follow this canal all the way to Paris if we wanted to, but we didn't. Nothing was really popping up on the Komoot map. By European standards, there isn't much in this part of France.
Yeah.
Camping seemed a distinct possibility. We started considering the possibility of wild camping, which might be a problem in terms of food.
No longer running or out of season.
I should tell you, when we left our warm showers hosts this morning, we had a vague idea as to where we might stay. We had someone in Metz say to us, "Sure, come stay for a day." But that was over 150 kilometers away. With the elevation, our advanced age, and whatnot, there's no chance we'd do that in one day. As we moved north through the afternoon, we started keeping our eye open for campgrounds, just in case.
Foosball.
Today we hit Sasbourg by mid-afternoon, and for the rest of our day today, we spent it, by and large, in the open post-harvest French countryside. Very few cars. In fact, not that many people at all. But as luck would have it, we stumbled onto a country inn, au Grain de Sel, that suited our needs just perfectly. A modest but satisfying end to our day. Tomorrow, we're headed for the big city.